Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about something pretty big. Actually, really big that it caused a lot of drama in the US. We're going to be talking about something called the One Big Beautiful Bill. So, what is it?
With Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer forcing a reading of President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, it delayed the debate on the Senate floor, which could go all night.
Well, it's a huge law that politicians tried to pass in the US, and basically think about it as a little bit of everything stuffed into one law. For example, it talked about taking away food help for some adults, or making people work to keep healthcare, or giving more money to the military and making student loans even harder to get, letting more oil and gas drilling happen, cutting money for electric cars and clean energy, and giving big tax breaks to basically the 1%. But people who like this bill said that it will make America stronger and it's gonna save money, and it will stop lazy people from taking advantage of the free stuff that the government gives.
There's benefits in the Big Beautiful Bill for every single South Carolinian. Whether it's job creation, lower taxes, or stronger communities, the One Big Beautiful Bill brings home so many resources for thousands of South Carolinians.
But people who don't like it said it will hurt poor families, it will ruin the planet, and it will give all the benefits to rich people.
I am worried about this bill because this is an incredibly huge wealth transfer from working families to the very wealthiest Americans, the billionaire class. And this is a big bad bill that benefits billionaires. That's what it is. And we are seeing them work so hard to fund these tax cuts while running up our deficit at the expense of health care for almost 14 million Americans, taking away food programs either outright or reducing benefits for another 11 million Americans. And for what? Just to pay for these tax cuts. It is an outrage, and we are hearing from every corner of this country, from the American people, that this is a very bad deal for them, and it is one that Democrats are going to oppose with everything we have.
But guess what? Even the people who made this bill fought with each other. Like, it was hectic. But yeah, this bill is becoming a law, and it's going to affect so many people.
This morning, senators starting a vote-a-rama when they can offer unlimited amendments to change the bill before a vote on final passage. Democrats making their objections clear late into the night.
This legislation is the most significant attack on the health care needs of the American people in our country's history.
We want them to be safety nets, not hammocks that people stay in, but getting people on their feet.
If you have the courage to, and if you don't, there is.
Using fake math and budgetary hocus pocus to make it seem like a gargantuan tax break for billionaires is going to cost virtually nothing. That's insane.
It's going to make us all more prosperous.
So to know what it is, we're going to break it down in a simple, clear way so that you will know everything that's going to happen in this new bill. So grab a little snack, hit that like button because it kind of helps, you know, and let's get into explaining the One Big Beautiful Bill. So basically, this bill is huge. Like, the whole thing in Congress is like over 1,000 pages. It's massive. But it's actually divided into 11 titles, and each title talks about the changes that is going to be done by that bill. And because it's separated into 11 titles, we're going to separate it into 11 titles in this video. And let's get started with Title 1, which is called Committee on Agriculture, basically talking about food and farming. So Title 1 affects two big groups: people who need help buying food and farmers who grow food in the US. So this bill is going to make a lot of changes to SNAP. And SNAP is like a grocery card that the government gives to people who don't have enough money to buy food, and it helps them feed themselves and their family. But this bill is going to be changing the rules for SNAP. So for the new rules, basically if you're 18 to 65 years old, you now have to work or get a job training in order to get food help. Like before that, only people who were under 50 had to follow this rule, but after this change, it's between 18 and 65. And the amount of money that people will get from SNAP won't go up as fast anymore. Even if the prices rise, yeah, the people won't get enough money sometimes. And also now people can't count some bills like internet bills to lower their income and qualify for SNAP. So yeah, some people might lose their benefits because of that. But also this bill is affecting states because if a state messes up and gives SNAP to someone who doesn't have to get it or shouldn't get it, the state now will have to pay for the mistake and pay the government back. But the bill also will help farmers until the year 2035. So farmers will get help like crop insurance. So for example, if bugs, drought, or storms destroy crops, the farmers will still get money. And there will also be support for farmers when it comes to price support. So for example, if corn or milk sells for too little, the farmer will still get extra money to make up for it because of that support from the government. So some people are supporting this. And for example, they're saying that if someone can work, they should work for their food, you know, that's what they think. And they believe that it will stop people from cheating the system. And they also think that it will save money and help people become more independent. And they like that farmers will still get help during bad times or when crops fail. So yeah, that's why they support it. But people who don't like that bill are saying that taking away food help from some people is horrible. Like for example, what about older people in their 50s who are sick or can't find a job? Basically, those people won't be able to get food help. And because of that, what, like they'll starve? I don't know. Yeah, before that bill, some money was given to protect soil, water, forests from climate change. Well, that bill here is going to remove that money. So some people are upset that it removes climate help from farms. So yeah, that's Title 1. So all those titles that I'm going to be explaining to you are all one big thing. They're just lumping them all together in one. Anyways, now that Title 1 is over, let's go to Title 2. And it's basically the part of the bill that gives the US military a lot of money. Money that would take care of soldiers, buy new equipment, and build better stuff. So the bill is going to be helping soldiers live better. So the military is going to be fixing old, broken houses or broken dorms that soldiers sleep in, and they're going to change them with better stuff. The bill will also give military families help with housing and childcare. So that means that if a soldier has a baby or kids, there will be help watching those kids or finding them a place to live. The military is also getting new missiles, new drones, new fighter jets, and they're upgrading their tanks, trucks, ships, and planes, and they're using AI with the military as well. The Navy is also getting new ships like patrol ships, icebreakers that break through ice in the Arctic, and new submarines. And they're saying that these ships will help the US stop smugglers and help in emergencies. So that's their excuse for buying all those new ships. And the military is also getting help around the world. So the military is getting more money to work in places in Asia. And because the US is seeing countries like China growing stronger, the US wants to be ready in that area. They're saying that spending all that money overseas will help catch illegal drugs and stop smuggling. But yeah, people who are supporting this are saying that America needs to be strong and it should be ready to protect itself. And they're saying that the soldiers need better homes, better equipment, more support. They're saying that the new ships and weapons will help the US stay ahead of other countries. But people who don't like it think that the military is already getting way too much money. And they think that this money could be spent in other places such as schools, hospitals, or even road repairs. And they're saying that the US already spends a lot more than other countries on defense. And they're not agreeing to buying new weapons while also cutting help to poor families or cutting help to the environment. That's it for Title 2. But Title 3 now? Yeah, that's a big one. Title 3 changes the way student loans and colleges work in the US, and it's gonna have so many new changes. So these changes are gonna start on July 1st, 2026. So if you're in high school now and you're gonna go to college in 2026 or after, yeah, those changes are going to affect you. So the first one is that subsidized loans will end. So right now, students can get a subsidized loan, which means that the government pays for the interest while you're still in school. But starting July 1st, 2026, there will be no more subsidized loans for new college students. That means that your loan will get bigger while you're studying because the interest will grow. Like before, the interest didn't kick in until you graduated, but now, once you get that loan, even if you're a student, you will have an interest on your loan. Also, students in graduate schools like law schools or med schools used to get something called PLUS loans. These were loans with no strict borrowing limit, so you can borrow as much as you want, as long as you're going to pay it. But again, starting July 2026, grad students can't get those loans anymore, and there's going to be a limit to $200,000. So even if you're studying to be a doctor, which takes a lot of money, you can still not borrow more than $200,000. Like, think about it. Let's say in order to be a doctor and go to university, it costs you like $500,000, but you can only borrow $200,000. Yeah, you won't go to school because there are $300,000 that you cannot really pay anymore. But even the loan repayment rules got changed, and there are only two plans now. So starting in 2026, you can either do the same payment every month or basically pay based on how much you earn. Also, before now, there was something called a public service loan forgiveness. So this program forgave your loan after 10 years if you worked in public services like teachers, nurses, firefighters. But yeah, this bill is gonna end that program. Like, for example, if a nurse graduates in 2027, she won't be eligible for forgiveness even if she works for the public sector, like at a hospital, for 10 years. And they also made it harder to pause payments. So before now, if you lose your job or you get sick, you can ask for something called a payment pause, which means you can pause your payment until you can actually pay for it because you lost your job or because you're sick. But now this bill made it even harder to pause payments. And a big one that they made is the Pell Grant changes. So Pell Grants are free money from the government to help low-income students go to college. Starting July 2026, students must enroll in at least half-time to get the Pell Grant. And the bill also changes how the family income is counted using a new formula that they did. And this could make some middle-income students lose the eligibility for the Pell Grant. But at least they added something new, something called the Workforce Pell Grant. So for example, if you want to be an electrician, a welder, or just get any trade certificate, yeah, that Workforce Pell Grant will pay for you. But the normal Pell Grant is not disappearing because the bill will add some money to the Pell Grant program until 2030, but it's only going to be temporary. If you think that bill is only going to affect students, well, think again, because colleges will also be affected. So if too many students from a college don't repay their loans, the college now must pay the government back. Like, the students will get the money, but the college will have to pay the government because the students didn't pay the government. Yeah, this is new, but it's something called risk sharing. But you could ask me, what will happen if the college doesn't pay the government? Well, if they don't pay it, then the college will lose access to federal aid programs such as student loans or Pell Grants. So yeah, the college either pays the government back or they lose a lot of aid programs. So yeah, that's new. And if you think that the next president might come and change all those changes to education and loans, well, that's not going to happen because this bill will block the US Department of Education from changing the loan rules. So for example, the Biden 2023 loan forgiveness plan will not be allowed under this new bill unless Congress approves it. And some people are supporting this, and they're saying that this will stop colleges from raising tuitions and it will make loans simpler and safer, while other people are saying that this will take away important help for students, and they're saying that colleges might stop accepting poor students to avoid getting fined by the government and having to pay the loans that their students took. I'm telling you, this is a huge bill. Anyways, let's now go to Title 4, Energy and Commerce. And it basically talks about the energy, environment, and health programs. And this is an important one because a lot of people hate this bill because of the cuts that it's gonna do to Medicaid. And those cuts are big because now adults between 19 and 64 who are on Medicaid, which is the health insurance for low-income people, must now work, volunteer, or be in job training for at least 80 hours a month. And there are exceptions for children, pregnant women, and people with disabilities. But yeah, other than that, those are some big changes to Medicaid. And the Congressional Budget Office is saying that up to 13.7 million people could lose their Medicaid by 2034 because of these rules. But that's not all to Medicaid, because now people must pay a little bit out of pocket when seeing a doctor. And they're going to put limits on how states raise money to pay for Medicaid. And when it comes to energy, this bill is canceling programs that helped energy-saving job training, electric car factory help, and grants for Native American energy projects. So they're removing a lot of clean energy investments, but they're investing in oil and gas because this bill made it faster and easier to export natural gas to other countries and build terminals that sends gas overseas. They're also going to give money to build a $43 billion natural gas pipeline in Alaska. And they're also making something called the de-risking fund. So if a company starts an energy project and the government later cancels it, the company can now get its money back from the government because the government canceled the project. So this is more like insurance for energy companies by the government. This bill will also stop giving money to electric school buses, electric garbage trucks, cleaning up dirty air at shipping ports, monitoring air in poor or minority neighborhoods, tracking methane, and helping schools fix mold or other environmental issues. And they're cutting a $27 billion program that helped finance clean energy projects. But also this bill is adding some rules so that drug companies can raise drug prices unfairly, and it's going to add money for hospitals that treat a lot of uninsured patients. And also it's going to use AI systems to catch fraud in Medicare billing. So yeah, there's a lot of things in this title. And some people are liking it because they're saying that it cuts spending on programs that are wasteful or unnecessary. And they're saying that green programs were too expensive and they weren't needed as much. While people who don't like this bill are saying that this is just a big gift to oil and gas companies and that removing all those green projects is a backward movement on climate action. But a lot of environmentalists and healthcare groups call this bill cruel and short-sighted because of all those changes. But now we go to Title 5, which changes how the government helps people in public houses, watches over banks and financial companies, keeps tracks of possible financial crashes, and protect people from scams and bad loans. So in August of 2022, Biden was like, I'm gonna give you $837 million to fix up old public housing. And they were supposed to use that money to add solar panels, replace old heaters, and remove mold from old houses. So if someone is living in an old house and they're waiting for new upgrades, yeah, that project will be canceled. And they're also merging PCAOB into SEC. Yeah. I know I just said a lot of letters here, so let me try to explain it. So the PCAOB is the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, and it was made in 2002 after the Enron scandal. And if you don't know about that scandal, basically Enron was a big energy company and it lied about its money and it collapsed. So after that, PCAOB was created and it was made to make sure that the companies are not lying. But now this bill is shutting down PCAOB and it's moving all of its duties to a department called SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission. And SEC already does a lot, like it watches over stock markets, investments, and Wall Street. And people are saying that the SEC is already busy, and without PCAOB, companies might do stuff that the government can't notice. While people who are supporting this bill are saying that, what's the need of having two agencies doing similar work? Let's just let SEC handle it all. And you tell me, is it better to merge them into one, or was it better to keep them separate? I actually don't know, but people are still fighting over this. But also, this bill is making some changes to the CFPB, which is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And honestly, if I heard those letters, like those many letters before, I'd be like, what are you saying? Again, yeah, it's another organization that was made, and it was made in 2010 after the 2008 crash, and it helps people from bad loans, credit card scams, and bank tricks. And since its creation, it returned over $17 billion to cheated customers. But now that bill is gonna cut the CFPB's budget. For now, CFPB got its money from the Federal Reserve, which means it was independent. But now CFPB's money will come from Congress, which means that Congress can just cut its funding at any time it wants. And people are upset because this weakens the only agency that protects regular people from banks. But that's not even the only cut that they're doing, because they're doing OFR cuts, which is the Office of Financial Research. And it was also created in 2010 after the 2008 Wall Street crash. Its job is to watch for danger in the financial system, like if banks or hedge funds are doing some risky things that could crash the economy. But yeah, this bill will also cut money to the OFR. Like seriously, they made this organization to stop something like the 2008 crash from happening again, but now they're defunding it. Yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen to the US in the future. Because now we're in Title 6, and this title gives more money and tools to help the US protect its border and get ready for big events like the 2026 World Cup and the 2028 Olympics. So the bill is going to spend $17.3 billion to border wall building and repair, hire more border patrol agents, and buy more drones and have more surveillance tools. But they're also going to reimburse states like Texas and Arizona for using their own police and National Guard to protect the border. And they're also going to be spending $75 million to protect presidents' homes, like former President Biden and Trump's home. And to prepare for the World Cup and the Olympics, they're going to spend $1.2 billion for event planning, security teams, emergency drills, and cameras and barricades. But yeah, this title was straightforward. They're just gonna spend more money on patrolling and surveillance and border control. Yeah, that was basically it. Anyways, now we go to Title 7, which talks about immigration, government rules, court powers, and taxes for online businesses. So starting 2026, the US will now raise their fees for almost all immigration services. Even if it's an asylum application or work permits or a temporary protected status, yeah, there are going to be increased fees for all of them. Like for example, asylum applications were free in the US, but now there's going to be a $50 to $100 fee for asylum applications. And they said they're going to use that money to hire more immigration judges, hire more ICE agents, and give bonuses to ICE workers. Also, a big one that I didn't see a lot of people talking about is that the bill is going to give the White House's Office of Management and Budget the ability to cancel rules that were made by the Department of Education, Department of Energy, Department of Homeland Security, Department of Justice. So yeah, the White House Office of Management and Budget can just change what those departments do now. Before now, if a company is caught doing something bad like polluting a river, the company just paid a settlement and they paid it to nonprofits or local groups to fix all the issues that were caused by the government. But now the bill says that the settlement money will go to either victims or the US Treasury. So yeah, there are no money that is going to go to any nonprofits anymore. So for example, if a factory dumped chemicals in a river, the company can't pay a local river cleaning group anymore, only the government. And for online business taxes, well, this bill is going to make it harder for states to tax businesses that don't have stores or offices in the state. For example, let's say a shop in Ohio sells a lot of stuff to customers in California. Well, California now can tax that income because that company is not in California, even though that company makes a lot of money from California. Like something like this really helps Amazon, for example. And now we go to Title 8, which affects a lot of rules about how the US uses its own land for energy like oil, gas, and coal. Basically, the government now will restart oil and gas lease sales on federal land. And companies can get drilling permits automatically if they pay $5,000 and they meet the basic requirements. And even though the oil companies are getting oil from public land, this bill is letting the oil companies keep more profits while the government and the taxpayers will get less money from the oil companies. Basically, this title just helps oil companies. It's just there for them. They're giving them the land, they're giving them resources. They're making it easy for them to get oil. But people can still protest, right? Like protests are free. You can just go on public land and protest against oil and gas companies, right? Well, not anymore because people now have to pay a fee in order to protest against oil and gas companies. Seriously, a fee to protest. Seriously, a lot of these were weird. A lot of these had issues, but a fee to protest? But that's not all, because this bill is canceling the climate and ocean programs, which made coastal towns safer from storms and restored coastal habitats. And they're cutting $500 million from forest services and $300 million from national park services when it comes to anything related to the climate or conservation. Anyways, Title 8 in summary was more drill baby drill and no more money given to fight climate change. And now we go to Title 9, which changes the rules for people who work for the federal government. And let me tell you, I read this and I had to reread it again simply because I didn't believe some of the stuff I saw. For example, starting 2026, all new federal employees can choose a different kind of job status when they're hired called at-will. And if you're an at-will employee, that means you pay less to your retirement fund, so you take more money home, but less money when you retire. But also that means that you can get fired at any time for any reason, even if it's unfair, and you can't even appeal it you can just do nothing about it. For example, let's say a scientist gets hired and that scientist chooses the at-will track, but then a few years later, the scientist writes a report showing that pollution is bad, for example, and because of that, the boss gets mad. The boss can just fire the scientist for no reason, and the scientist can't even appeal it, even though they said the truth. Like, that's the kind of program that is out there now. Also, for pensions, if a federal worker retires before 62, they used to get a monthly bonus payment until they turn 62. Well, that bill is taking away that money for any people who retire after 2026. Also, right now, if a federal worker gets fired, demoted, or punished, they can appeal for free at something called the MSPB, which is a special court for federal workers. But starting 2026, federal workers now must pay a filing fee, which could be like $200 or $300 to appeal the firing. Federal workers have health insurance, and with that health insurance, they can cover people like their spouses, children, stepchildren. But now federal employees have to verify every dependent every year. And they're doing that to stop fraud and stopping someone from adding, like, for example, an ex-spouse or a cousin or a child who no longer qualifies because they're, for example, too old, you know what I mean? Still, the one that I was a little shocked about is the at-will program thing. Yeah, anyways, that is going to be added. And if you're still watching so far, you're actually amazing, because this has been a little bit long, but I appreciate it, honestly. And anyways, we're now at Title 10. And this title will give money to US Coast Guard, the FAA, which is Air Traffic and Airports, and it will give money to states to charge electric car fees. Yep, you heard that right. If you have an electric car, you're going to be charged a fee. So now if you own an electric car, you pay $250 a year as a fee, and if you have a plug-in hybrid, you will pay $100 a year as a fee. I thought they're promoting electric cars to save the environment and everything, but no, not anymore, because now they want electric car owners to pay those fees because they don't pay gas, and gas helps the Highway Trust Fund. Like, this is actually crazy. I remember the US pushing electric vehicles, pushing Teslas and being like, yeah, we're going to be changing all the cars to be electric, but now it doesn't look like this is happening. And states will get $200 million in grants in order to build those systems to get the fees from the people. But at the same time, the Coast Guard is getting $14 billion to buy airplanes, helicopters, and drones. But also, ships that come to the US port will now have to pay 125% more in tonnage duties. Those are basically fees based on the ship's size. Like, for example, if a ship paid $500 before, that ship will now have to pay $1,125. And that's just an estimate. It probably pays a lot more. But the bill is also going to be adding a truck safety website that checks if a trucking company is safe or not safe. And they're spending $4.5 billion to replace old towers at radar buildings at airports, upgrade radars and radios, fix runway systems, and hire and train more air traffic controllers. Yeah, at least that one is a really good one. And there's also going to be $150 million to repair the Kennedy Center, which will fix the leaky roofs, outdated security, and all of the old equipment that's there. But yeah, that's Title 10. And now we're at the last title, Title 11. And honestly, Title 11, from what I saw, is really similar to a mix of all the other titles together. Like, it talks about healthcare programs again, taxes, and spending rules. But also, one of the things that this bill is going to do is cut Obamacare subsidies. Like, those subsidies help people with low or moderate income pay for their monthly insurance. But yeah, that bill will just cut the subsidy, and millions of people will see higher monthly bills because of that. In 2022, the IRS got $80 billion over 10 years to hire more workers, improve customer service, modernize their old computers, and most importantly, catch rich tax cheats who hide their money. But now this bill is like, you know what? We're gonna get more than half of that money. Like, they're gonna get $50 billion back from the IRS, And they're saying that the IRS already has enough money. But people against that bill are saying that this will make it harder to catch the rich people who cheat the tax code. But also the IRS was building a free online tool that would help people file their taxes for free without paying for TurboTax or all those other tax tools. But yeah, that bill will also kill that program. And they're saying that we already have private companies for that. But yeah, those private companies get money and that tool was going to be free, but it's not going to happen anymore. But the bill is also ending a drug company tax loophole. So a lot of big pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson moved their profits to places like Ireland or Bermuda to pay less US taxes. But that bill closed that loophole and is going to make those companies pay their taxes in the US, even if their profits are overseas. And apparently this could bring like $10 to $15 billion per year in extra tax revenue to the US. But the bill also restores or extends popular tax breaks for businesses such as bonus depreciation and R&D tax reduction. So yeah, a lot of big businesses are gonna benefit from those tax breaks. And lastly, there are gonna be new rules for tax-exempt groups. Basically, there will be more transparency on donations or spending and where that donation is coming from. So at least we should know where that donation is coming from. But we'll see if that's going to happen, and that's basically it for the new big beautiful bill. Honestly, that was a lot. That was a lot of information out there, but yeah, that was the big beautiful bill. The longest video I've probably made, and it's for a good reason. This bill is huge, caused so much drama, so many issues, caused the breakup between Trump and Elon Musk even. But it's gonna happen, and we're gonna see if it's gonna affect so many people. Like, I know it's gonna affect so many people, but hopefully it doesn't affect the people who are in need.